Oh, you're not on this. Yeah, you are. All right. So in your notes, week 3. Okay. So week 3 concepts is the first heading that you'll have. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to here. So starting this week, we are going to be in full swing of what this class is going to look like for the rest of the time together. Okay, so please don't get freaked out by this, but starting next week, how many items per week do you have due? 4, okay? So starting next week, you can see this by looking at the calendar, not that you can look at the computers right now, but you have the My IT Lab. Monday will always be from now on a My IT Lab, and then just show both the box screen. How about that? And then a chapter quiz, okay? So you should have known about these already from the week 1 classwork, but can you get to the My IT Lab items by going through the Blackboard calendar? No, because, and this is what I want in your notes, My IT Lab and Blackboard is not what we call integrated. And this was a real big bummer for me because I was told it was going to work, and then about a week before the semester started, I got, no, it's not going to work. And I'm like, oh, that is such a bummer. So, but no big deal. You guys can still go over and go into My IT Lab and and do the work in there. So here's the other thing I want you to know. When you do work in My IT Lab, I will post grades every Tuesday morning from My IT Lab into Blackboard. Okay, so in your notes, every Tuesday morning, My IT Lab scores will go into Blackboard. Okay? All right, so that starts, and then you have chapter quizzes after that, and then you have hands-on and classwork. So that's the way it pretty much goes. But I also want to go forward to next month, because we have our first campus holiday on the 7th. So look what happens on the 10th. We're hearing, why? So what happens when we have a campus holiday? Yeah, I just move it, everything to the next date, okay? So even though we have a campus holiday, you still need to do the work, okay? I know. Yeah, go ahead. Uh-huh. Well, I was doing that, and then through the process of talking to some students, it's like if there's a holiday, I should give at least nothing due that night, but I still need the items to be done. And here's the thing, if I actually have set up the schedule the way I have so that I kind of can end our class in week 17. And the reason is that everybody throws everything at you at the last of the semester. Anybody been through a semester here? Know what that feels like? Okay. So I try to be not that part of your crazy end of the semester. Okay. So, yeah, it's true, you could. Which, by the way, can you work ahead? And what's the benefit of working ahead? If you need help, you can get it. If I've graded and you miss something, you can make it up. That's a huge benefit. One of the ways I try to help you be successful, okay? So we just talked about this item. So Blackboard and My IT Lab are 2 different systems, okay? So for week 3 classwork, I've actually been giving this some thought because I've been thinking about this concept, and in your notes, I had you do this for week 2, is to find the OS, the operating system for computers that you use. Okay? But what do you think is the most popular operating system around? Yeah, you think Windows, not Unix. Believe it or not, and by the way, I'm looking at, so just go to the screen, a Wikipedia article, and this may surprise you. Android is the largest install base of all general purpose systems. How many are surprised? Yeah, and that's because Android is not just on phones, okay? But let's, and we could talk about details of that, but really, if we go down and look at desktops and laptops, Windows wins here, big time, right? I mean, look at this. Really, it's number 1, number 2, number 3, skip number 4, right? So it's like, it's 90% of the market, okay? So here's what I've decided. I was actually going to do a little Windows training with you this week, but I found out right beforehand that My IT Lab just gave a Windows 10 training. Gave it, meaning they made it available to us. So for week 3, so put this in your notes, for week 3, classwork. And this is where it's going to get just a little confusing, but hang with me, you can totally get this. For week 3, you're going to do a My IT Lab training. Okay? But it's not going to be like the stuff that I talked about earlier with the stuff that I post from one system into the other. And that's because I set up my gradebook from its total, from the beginning, everything that I know I'm going to assign. So this is something that I didn't know I was going to assign, so I'm putting it in Classwork. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Yeah? So here's what you're going to do. I'm in my IT lab over here, and I went ahead, because once they told me it was available, this Windows 10 training, I thought I'm going to go take a look at it. I'm actually going to do it myself, because I haven't, I've been a little resistant to loading Windows 10. I've noticed this about myself. I'm like, I'm not going to do it. But you know what? I actually like it now. I'm actually now going to do it because of the training that I did. And here's why. How many of you are on Windows 8? How many are you on Windows 7? On Windows 10? That's awesome, right? So I didn't realize that. Many more of you are on it than I realized. But I didn't like Windows 8.1 because it felt like it was a mobile, and most desktops are not, almost every desktop is not, or laptop. So it was like weird interacting with it. Windows 10 is more like Windows 7 but improved. I mean, would anybody who's on Windows 10 agree with that assessment? Yeah. So this is a great training, and I really, after I did it, I was like, okay, now I'm excited. Now I'm actually going to go load Windows 10, okay? And I'll talk about in a minute that you all have access, and you can get Windows 10 for free. So if you don't have it now, if you have even Windows 7, Windows 8.1, I recommend you actually looking at Windows 10, okay? So here's what this looks like. In my IT lab, under course, so put in your notes, my IT lab, course materials, Windows 10 simulation training, okay? So when you come in here, you're going to complete this training. There's 26 items. Definitely, and I had to use the training aids or the training assistants because it was like it was asking me to do stuff. I'm like, I don't get it. What are you asking me to do? So use the training aids, right? So once you complete it, and actually I'm not sure why it's showing in progress because I did honestly complete it. Okay, so for next week's classwork, you have 2 parts, okay? You have the notes that you're taking now, and then you'll have the Windows 10 training that you'll need to complete. Good? Okay, so question, and I just want to, so everything except this Windows 10 training, how does the scores get from my IT lab into Blackboard? I do it. But you, because this is not part of my planned grade, you are going to show you did it. And this is how you're going to do it. So you take a print screen once you complete this, okay? So once you complete this training in my IT lab, you do a print screen. So who remembers from now on out how you do class notes, classwork notes? Google Docs, okay? So let's talk about this. I actually already did it over here. So this is an example, right? Because again, the most current week at the top, all of it should be on one document. There's a video for that. Go check it out if you're unsure. So then what I have here is, here's the notes that you'll be taking about week 3. I have you taking these notes right now. And then you'll do the My IT Lab Windows 10 training. So there's 2 ways you could do this. You could either do a link, right? Or you could just place it in here like I've done. And when I did that though, I'll show you, and this is actually kind of a good thing to know. What would be the difference between me taking a print screen and show the full screen here? What's the difference between that print screen and that print screen? It's just smaller. It's a little easier to deal with, right? And would this be a full screen, print screen, if I wanted just the print screen of the score here? No, so this is what we call a selective print screen, right? So just make sure when you take that print screen, you include your account name and the score that you got on that. Now, how do I get this into Google Doc? Okay, so let's go back here. I gave you 2 ways. How did I do it here? Yeah, I actually just did this. I did insert link, or insert image. Okay? So what's the other way I could have done it? I could have done a file upload on the print screen, and then I could have linked it in here. How many of you got that? Yeah? Okay. So when you're doing classwork from here on out, who's the only 2 people who have access to your classwork? Yeah, you and me, okay? So this is, and make sure, and again, that video will help you walk through that. Okay, any questions about this? So what am I talking about in your notes? This is week 3 classwork. You're gonna do a Windows 10 training. You're gonna put a print screen either linked or up in your Google Doc. And from next week forward, you have to use Google Doc, okay, for all that. All right, so your week 3 hands-on is also available. We're gonna do something different there. I recorded a 5-minute video for that last night. We're gonna start using something called Code Academy. Code Academy is awesome. You're gonna do your first chapter in there. Nicole already did hers, right? Did you like it? Yeah, so we'll be using that on and off for hands-on for a couple of times, definitely during this course. Okay, so again, go check that out if you want to know about that. Last thing I'll say here, how we doing on time? Mine shows I have 4 minutes, yay! Okay, I'll try to use them properly. So, DreamSpark, I told everyone in class, so now let me tell everyone online. I've signed you up. Matter of fact, how many of you got the email? How many of you got? Good, right? So you have an email now from the campus that you can go download. And I just found out from Sarah, you can't get Windows XP anymore. I'm so sorry. But Windows 7, Windows 8, and Windows 10. And some other programs from Microsoft that if you're going to get into IT, definitely if you're going to get into programming, and server side and networking, stuff like that, you get all that stuff for free. Yeah. Well, it's a per license thing, and you want to read their license. So, you know, the next logical step with this would be, once I download it, what do I do? Let's just say for Windows 10. How many of you are actually thinking about, and let's show them, loading Windows 10? So, while we have just a few minutes, what would be the steps you would think through before loading Windows 10? Oh, so then just go back to me. Just go back to me. For some reason it dropped, okay? So what would be the steps you would think about before you load an operating system on your computer? Absolutely, because when you load an operating system, it's going to blow away whatever you have. Well, if you do an in-place upgrade from Windows 8.1, maybe not, but here's what I'm going to tell you. I never recommend doing in-place upgrades. I always recommend blowing it away and starting from scratch, because when you upgrade from an older version, it's going to bring over stuff that the new operating system might not need, and it's just crap. Oh, I'm sorry. It's just not good. So I recommend doing a clean install, okay? All right, so backing up, right? So you need to back it up, and then you just load the thing. And the thing is, on that DreamSpark, it's a huge download. It's gigabytes of information, so you have to have a place to store it. You could load it on a DVD, but you can also just load it on an external drive. Show them, how many of you have an external hard drive? Yeah. Oh, that's the one that we missed? Oh, that's okay. All right, then just come back to me. Sorry. Everybody's seeing a blue screen, and when they're wondering, all the students are blue. They're blue man. No, okay. So anyway, I do too. I actually have an external. I have about a gig hard drive that I have at all times just to back up things. So just know that that is a good practice to have. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. I meant one. I didn't. Did I say 1 gig? Seriously? That is so funny. Yeah, 1 terabyte. Yeah, 1 gig would be like USB, right? Who does that? So we'll be talking about what these terms mean. Is if you don't know gigabytes, terabytes, all that, we'll talk about it. Yeah. Yeah, that is a great option. I don't know if the online students heard it, but anytime you have a computer that either you're not using anymore, just pull out that hard drive, get a case, put that thing right in the case, and it's a portable hard drive. Because especially if it's a laptop, these laptop hard drives are pretty small because they fit in a laptop. Doesn't that make sense, right? So those you can just stick right into a case. Really, really good suggestion. Thank you, right? But whatever you do, and let's just, they can't see you, but I can. How many of you back up your computers? That's more than I normally see, so thank you that you're doing it. Because here's it, for those of you that did not, raise your hand and say with me. Well, what do I mean? I mean, if your data is not in more than one place, it's not backed up. So if you're not backing up, here's what you're saying. I'm okay. Everybody who did, I'm okay with all my information going bye-bye. All right? I'm saying, okay? All right, I think that was all. And actually, you and I are going to have another talk about something else. But we're going to say goodbye for now because I'm actually at the end of my, 3 seconds. I'm so good. Okay, bye, you guys.